Hey, welcome back. We're kicking off hour 2 today with the second hour of Women Wednesday. We're going to interrupt that a little later on. Again, we had a man on today infringing on enemy territory when we bring the woman's perspective. David Spilt was talking to us about all the great things going on in the world with legal cannabis.
And doing a fine Jason Levy impersonation in the process.
Certainly did. And we're going to break that a little later on, too, when we have on former NFL coaching legend Tony Dungy, his wife Lauren Dungy, join us to talk about their great new children's book, Carson Chooses Forgiveness. So forgive us for having some men on Women Wednesday, but when we got great men available, we got to get them. And now we're back on the woman path with someone that has an amazing perspective on things, a real patriot, someone who has put her heart and soul in building grassroots organizations to fight for patriotism and democracy. Jenny Beth Martin joins us. She's co-founder and national coordinator of the Tea Party Patriots, columnist for the Washington Times. And Jenny, I want to thank you for joining us today via Skype. Anytime you're in New York, please come see us. But first and foremost, I want to hear what you guys are doing for 2020, because I know the left is trying to talk people into thinking there's a recession. What are you guys doing to combat that?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And we're making sure that we talk to voters and remind them that they're better off right now economically than they were before President Trump became president. Wages have increased, unemployment is low, and the average amount of money that a household is bringing home right now is higher than it was when he was elected in 2016. We're going to be focused on 3 states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And Trump won those states by about 77,000 votes. We have about 1 million voters we'll be contacting in those 3 states.
Well, thank you very much for that, Jenny. I know the Tea Party Patriots and others come under attack often. I know you guys have some thick skin and you're always, fighting for what's right. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this whole Planned Parenthood thing, where they've decided to turn down $60 million worth of federal funding. What do you guys think about that?
Well, we don't really take on social issues. What I think, just looking at it outside of our organization standpoint, is that President Trump has made promises to stand for life. He's keeping those promises. And when Congress wouldn't act to defund Planned Parenthood, he and the people who work in his administration have found ways to work it even without congressional action.
Well, it's interesting, Jenny Beth, and thanks so much for coming on. This is Frank Moreno. You don't hear that much about the Tea Party in the media anymore. Around 2010, when those rallies were happening, especially during the Obamacare debate, it seemed like every newscast, liberal, conservative, or so-called unbiased, every other word was Tea Party. And I was very interested to see National Review claim that this budget agreement that the president just signed today, but that he and Congress had agreed to a couple of weeks ago, which adds significantly to the deficit, that essentially was the death of the Tea Party. Something tells me you may disagree.
Well, you can see me right here alive and kicking, so you know I'm not dead. And our movement's not dead. We're more vibrant than ever. Here's the situation. Back in 2009, when we started, that we didn't have any chance at that moment in time to have legislation passed through Congress and signed by a president that we wanted. We stood for constitutionally limited government, free markets, and fiscal responsibility. We say that today in terms of personal freedom, economic freedom, and a debt-free future. Now, clearly, the deal that was just signed is not getting us to a debt-free future, and we have more work to do with that. At the same time, we have an economy that is growing. We have tax cuts. We have wage increases for families across the country. So we do have more economic freedom. We have more personal freedom. We wanted to see the end of the Iran deal. We've seen that the United States States has pulled out of that. We had a rally on that. We have had rallies to work for securing the border. We're still not there with securing the border yet, but we are at least, we've brought the problem to America, to the attention of Americans, and we're working with the president to secure the border. There are things that we are doing that have taken 100 years, a century, to get us where we are today, and we want to see changes in that progressivism in America. And we know that to combat 100 years of progressivism, it's going to take more than 1 year or even 1 decade for us to succeed and reach all of our goals.
Very good. Jenny Beth, I also, speaking of the border, we have some friends of the show, some frequent contributors, Jeff Webb and Martha Bonetta, who are down at the border right now. We expect them to be reporting some boots on the ground commentary on what's really happening down there. But what do you make of what the president's talking about today, a new order that would indefinitely keep parents and their kids together at the detention centers?
I think that this is one of the best steps yet in helping us end this current crisis at the border. He's rolling back what's called the Flores Agreement or Flores Settlement. That settlement was a lawsuit that said that you could not leave children in a detention center longer than 20 days. And that was encouraging human smugglers and anyone who could get across our border with a child to come to our country, because they knew that if they could get across, that they wouldn't be able to stay in a detention center for more than 20 days, and they could be sent anywhere within the interior of our country. Now they have to stay in a detention center until they are fully processed. And I'm glad to see that that is happening. Also, they're changing the standards for the detention centers and making sure those standards are uniform across the board. And I think that will also be better for children. So this is a win for children, and it's a win for Americans. And I think it will help. It's going to be something that will wind up helping slow this crisis that we have right now.
Jenny Beth, let me ask you, if I may, when these Tea Party rallies were happening, it's very clear that the energy and the activism was happening on a very grassroots level. But one of the things that we saw was the swamp, as it were. A lot of these establishment parties, a lot of special interest groups, maybe even some think tanks, they tried to co-opt the term Tea Party so that they could capitalize on the grassroots fervor, but just kind of reinforce an establishment agenda. A lot of folks may wonder what the difference is between the Tea Party as a label or as a movement versus conventional conservative republicanism. A lot of people might even be concerned that Republicans or conservatives are just trying to use that Tea Party label to sell the same old conservative economic policies to the public under a new name. In your view, what does the Tea Party mean as a brand, and what would you say to folks that might accuse folks of using the Tea Party movement to sell just traditional conservative economic ideas?
I think that the biggest thing is that we think that the government, the size and scope of government in America is too large, and we want to see it reduced. We want to reduce the size and scope of government so that it is within the constitutional bounds and it is not just continuing to grow and amass power. Now, as we do that, it means that we want to see, we will, if we can reduce the size and scope of government, we will reduce the spending that happens. And we also want people to be able to keep more of the money that they work and earn. We did see that through the tax reform plan. I think from an economic perspective, it is in line with traditional conservatism in this country. I think that the problem is that many people have run, whether it's under the banner of conservatism or under the banner of Tea Party, and claim that they are going to work to reduce the size and scope of government, but they get to Washington and they continue to do the same old, rather than taking the hard leadership decisions, making those hard leadership decisions that would reduce the size and scope of government and reduce spending.
Jenny Beth, I hope you'll come back soon. You certainly have a lot of great information and a lot of great passion on a wide variety of issues affecting the country. I hope we can chat again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Jenny Beth Martin, thank you. Frank, you know, we mixed it up a little before with a Republican and a Democrat, but she's like really at the heart. Jenny Beth is like right there on the ground level, grassroots level.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, that's why I asked about the, the Tea Party. A lot of folks will point to the fact that, she's getting, a six-figure salary, a pretty high six-figure salary from that group, and say, well, how grassroots can you be if it's your job to promote the Tea Party as a brand?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I wasn't weighing in on whether or not she's a volunteer. I'm just saying, she's probably getting paid a decent amount of dough, but you do need to pay somebody to lead the thing when you want to build efforts, from a grassroots level. And, sometimes it works with volunteerism, but, as you know, you're at the end of your rope with volunteerism.
That's
here on Liquid Lunch. And, it's to me, it's still great to see people with a commitment to fighting for the democracy with a small d that I kind of hope we
Absolutely,
go back to.
and she's right. In my view, in championing the president's new position on these migrant detention centers, I mean, I think this is a sensible policy the president unveiled today, which not only keeps families together, but doesn't say, oh, yeah, if you're coming into the country illegally, just walk right in. So I think she's right on the money with respect to that one.
So I suspect that the left will figure out some way to say the president's screwing this up now, even by rolling back the Flores decision. But I think it's a good way for him to blunt the attacks from the left, to say, okay, you know what, let's not separate people, let's keep them together indefinitely. And I think it's a good thought. Somebody's telling the president to do practical things for some reason. We're going to be practical. We're going to take a quick break so our sponsors can tell you all about the great things they're doing. Then we're going to come back with the Sea Girl herself, Carla Marino, joins us right after this.